Hello and welcome to part 2 of my presentation on the OpenMRS HL7Query module. During this presentation I am going to take you through a demonstration of setting up and using the HL7Query module. I will be using OpenMRS version 183 for this example. But before we go into the demonstration, I am going to give you a few quick tips. First of all, the ORU R01 messages which we support by default are representing medical observations. Secondly, in OpenMRS peak, ORU R01 messages are represented using encounter and observation objects. Other additional information may also be included in patient and patient identifier objects as well. However, a single request that we make on the module may result in one or many encounters being returned. So moving on, here I have listed a few of the sample query parameters that we'll be using to make requests. As you can see, we have query parameters that deal with patients, patient identifiers, encounters and dates. So the patient and the patient identifier parameters are used to select queries by patient. The encounter parameter is used so that we can select encounters based on some unique identifier. And finally, the date range is used so that we can limit the number of results returned based on date ranges. However, do note that none of these parameters are mandatory. We can use them as and when we please. So now let's move on to the demonstration. Now as you can see, I have loaded up the module on the administration tab. You can see that it creates two links. It creates first a manage module link and then a manage templates link. So first of all, the manage modules link allows us to edit module specific configuration settings, while the manage templates link lets us to edit the templates themselves. So first, let's check out the manage module link, because that's where we'll go if we have just installed the module and we want to test it out. So first of all, I'm going to click on the manage modules link. Now as you can see, this page contains a list of all the global properties that are based on the HL7Query module. So this is the page that we have to come to set configuration settings if we need a specific set of behavior. For example, as you can see, the very first global property in the list is the ORU R01 template. So this template represents the ORU patient template which we are triggering by default. Of course, we don't need to change this field if you are going to use the very same parent template. But assuming that you write your own parent template and you want to start calling that by default, now you know that this is the parameter that we need to set. Basically, you need to come here and change the ORU R01 template name to reflect to point to your own template which you created. Simply substitute the name of whatever template you want to access and you're good to go. So next in line, we see a few other properties that are required by the message segment. Basically, we have the message facility field, then we have the message internationalization code, we have the message processing ID and the message processing mode. Now as you can see, all of these have their own default values, but I am guessing that if you are an implementer and you have an in-house HL7 expert, the expert is going to want to ask that you use certain other default values. So if that is the case, now you know that where you can come and edit these values as you wish. So now let's move back to the administration page. And now that we've seen the settings page, let's take a look at the manage templates page. So as I said, the manage templates page is where we are going to edit and add new templates as we please. So now when you come to the manage templates page, you are going to see a big list of all the templates that we support, that we have by default. So these templates were written in order to support our parent ORU R01 template, and they can help you in two ways. First of all, if you are using the same ORU R01 template, you can simply reuse them. Secondly, of course, you can edit these to reflect your own changes and your own ideas. And thirdly, you can use them as samples to write your very own templates out of scratch. So how do we write a new template? So simply we click on the add template button on that template link, and you can see this this form where we can enter the template name, the entity, the language. Of course, the language is always going to be Groovy. And then we have the template text area where you can write the template itself. And then we simply save the template. Of course, for the template to work, the Groovy script that you write has got to be valid and synthetically correct Groovy script. But once it's valid, it's good to run. So this is how we can write our own templates out of scratch. So now I'm going to show you how we can view an existing template. So all we need to go is go back to the Manage Templates page and click on any one of the templates. As you can see, we are displayed a sample, one of the sample templates that we wrote. We can even edit this template to reflect our own changes and save it, and the changes will go back into the database, and we can start using it as a new template itself. Now, just to show you how things work, I'm going to take you into the parent ORU R01 template. You can see it here. This is basically our parent template. This is what is responsible for building the entire ORU R01 message. Now, if I go here, you can see that this template is responsible for calling, wrong template, the ORU generic ORU R01 template. You can see that it's responsible for calling a number of other templates. So the parent template takes care of how, where, and under what conditions the child templates are being called, and together they build up an entire message. So if you are writing your own parent template, keep in mind that you need to be calling your own child templates, and those responsibilities fall into the parent templates domain. So now that we've looked at how we can view and edit templates and configure them as we please, I will take you through a few sample request URLs. So I have already written up a few sample URLs, which you can see here. So first of all, as you can see, I'm going to make a call for a patient who has a single encounter that contains a single observation. So how I'm going to do this is, I already know that this patient has a single encounter and single observation. So I'm going to just send his patient ID, which is 100, and his ID type UUID, which is this number. So I'm going to copy it and here. So this is what it would look like if we make this request. You can see that it has returned me a pipe-based XML message, a pipe-based HL7 message. It has a message segment, it has a PID segment, it has a PV1 segment, and it has a single OBR and an OBX value segments that represent the single encounter and the enclosed observation. Of course, this is fake data, so don't worry too much about the mappings and the names I have used here. It just shows how things work. So next, I'm going to show you another example. This time I'm going to request two encounters, each which has a single observation each. So two encounters, and each encounter has a single observation. So once again, I'm making the very same request on a different patient, and this patient I know has these values stored in the database. So I am making the request here, and this is the message that I'm retrieving, and you can see it has a message segment, a PID, and here we have the very first OBR for the first encounter, and it has its enclosed OBX field. Then it starts on the second encounter, and I'm seeing my second encounter here and the enclosed observation value here. So this represents an ORU R01 message with an encounter and two encounters and two observations. So next we come to how to call a specific encounter itself. Now in this example, I assume that there is an encounter and I have its ID, I have its UUID value. So I'm not using patient IDs or any other identifier. I'm directly calling the module by using just the encounter UUID itself. So when I make this request, this is what I get. I'm getting once again I'm getting the ORU/R01 message with the message, the PID PV1 and the single OBR and the OBX value. So this represents another way that we can use the module if we want to have some other different behavior. Instead of being patient centric, if you're going to refer to the data via the encounters themselves. So finally, I'm going to show you what things happen if we make an invalid call. For example, here I'm making an invalid call, and this is an invalid call because the patient I'm trying to request doesn't exist in the database. 105 doesn't exist. So when I make that call, you will see that it's returning to me an error message. I'm getting error code 400 and an error message saying that we can't find this patient, he doesn't exist in the system. So this basically is a wrap up of how the module works. But of course, if you have been looking at the examples given here, you will be wondering that all these messages are in actually pipe delimited format, and what happens if I want XML delimited format. It's very easy. The module supports pipe delimited format by default. However, it doesn't mean that we don't support XML at all. If you want XML delimited format, what you need to do is when you're sending your request, you need to send an header message which says send me an accept header which says send me something in XML. So we'll have an accept header with the value text/XML assigned, and when the module receives this message, it will know that we want something in XML. So it will take the pipe delimited message and translate it into XML and return to us the XML message. So that's how we take care of what happens if someone wants an XML message. So now I've come to the end of my demonstration, so I'll go back to the last slide. Basically, I want to share with you a few resources. We have our wiki page with a lot of documentation on how we can use the module. Second, we have our Jira page where you can of course report bugs, ask for enhancements and see how things are happening, how things are developing. Finally, I'm also sharing our link on GitHub. Of course, if you want to help us develop the module, if you want to take part in some new activities, you are welcome to take a look at it. So that comes to the end of my presentation. I'd like to thank you all for your kind attention, and if there's any other questions or any suggestions, I'll be welcome to we are welcome to discuss them now, and you're also welcome to contact me later on if you have any other questions or you're interested in implementing the module. Please don't hesitate to contact me at any time. Thank you.